All right, welcome back to yet another episode of With Purpose. My name is Ben Hutton. I am so glad that you're here. Today I think we're going to talk about something that we've all thought about at some point. We've probably talked about it at some point, but I've got a little bit different take on it than you may have heard, and that is work-life balance. I'm sure you've pondered this. All of us that are busy and have a lot on our to-do list, a lot on our calendar, have times felt like things were out of balance. And so we've pondered, like, what's this look like? How do I balance work and life? And there's been lots of gurus out in the world that have given us all sorts of tips and tricks on how to do that well, or what it's supposed to look like for all of us that are busy leaders. And I've seen all of that. I've read all of that. I've tried all of that, and none of that has really worked for me. And I think it's because we kind of believe the wrong things about what balance or work and life balance really is or should be. And I think we go through these phases of how we think about it. So first we say, okay, like, things are busy. I need to get my work-life balance in check. And what that turns into is an effort of containment. And so we try this like work-life containment, and we set up these separate buckets in our life. Maybe there's time with family, time with friends, time at church, time at work. And we try and create these really clear, clean lines between these different areas of our life, and treat them as things we get to budget carefully, and things that do not overlap or cross over with each other. But we quickly figure out, for most of us and most of the time, that doesn't work because it turns out we are whole people. We are humans, and we are one. And that same person goes to work and then goes home and spends time with family, goes to the bowling alley with friends, and goes to church on Sunday. And what happens in one of those buckets, what happens in one of those areas, carries on to all of the others. And so then we move to this idea of work-life integration, where it's like, okay, yeah, that's the case. And so I am going to bring my whole self to work, and everything that's going on at home is going to be part of my work life, so that people understand what I'm going through right now. Or I'm going to bring my work challenges home, so that my spouse doesn't feel disconnected from the challenges, and they understand why I'm frustrated or excited about whatever happened that day at work. And I'm going to bring all of that to church, and church back to work with me. And we try and create this integrated version of ourselves. But also pretty quickly we figure out that that doesn't quite work either, because there's some things that sometimes just aren't appropriate for one of those venues to cross over from another. I do not need every single detail of my personal life present at work. That's actually sometimes going to be quite detrimental to me doing a good job at work, or might be distracting to other people for really no good reason, and vice versa. There's things that happen at work that my spouse needs to understand. Like, I'm not trying to hide any part of my work life from them, but I don't need to carry every burden from the challenges of my day or week home and put those on my family and ask them to help carry those. Those are my job to carry. And so we have to be, I think, a little more intentional about all of this. And so where I've landed and what I am trying to practice more recently, and I'm not very good at it. I'm trying. I'm learning every day, and we're going to learn together here on With Purpose. But what I am trying to achieve is what I am calling conscious entanglement. So intentionally bringing parts of myself, parts of my work into home, or vice versa. Intentionally bringing parts of my faith carefully into the workplace so that people understand me, or the intentions that I have in my whole life. Conscious entanglement is not full integration, but it is also not this belief that we can create these clean buckets that containment suggests that we should have. I don't think there's any such thing as work-life balance. I don't think that that point ever exists in an ongoing, constantly changing environment. There are always going to be times when one area of our life is pulling at us more than another. And it's not possible, probable, even desirable, I think, to try and create this perfect form of stasis and try and manage everything to fit in these clean buckets or time budgets or whatever it is that we have decided to measure that balance by. But I think a more honest version of all of this is this idea of intentional, conscious entanglement. How do I make sure that people in my work life, in my home life, understand those different arenas so that they feel included in them? They feel like they can support me in those. I feel like I can share my wins and my struggles in all areas of my life with the people that I care about. But also in a way that doesn't burden them with anything that they shouldn't have to carry. That's really mine. So that's my thought for today on With Purpose. I am curious how that hits you and how you have been able to achieve some sort of place where you feel like you've done this right. You've mixed up all the ingredients in your life in a way that feels authentic and productive, and hasn't presented you any challenges. I don't know if it's really possible, but if you have tips and tricks, I would love to hear them, because like I said, I'm still learning how to do all of this well. Okay, that's enough of my ramblings for today. Now it is time to transition into our period of planning, our time when we look at our whole life, everything we've got going on, and first take a moment to be grateful for it, and then make some plans for what we want to invest in the week ahead, because I know we all have a lot going on. We want to make sure we invest our time, the resources that we have, our care and attention into the things that really matter to us. So let's start with that moment of gratitude. What is it that you are grateful for from this last week? Okay, and as always, the second part of our kickoff for planning here is just to make a list of those things we got to just knock out this week. I know there's a few, but I always have a few things that I've been dreading or putting off, and I just have to make a point to commit to doing them. And so this is your opportunity. Make a point, write it down, commit. Okay, first question for this week is, what have you tried in terms of achieving work-life balance in the past that hasn't worked? I bet you can make a pretty long list of things you've tried. I mean, a lot of us have tried things. I could make a long list here. What have you tried that hasn't worked? Second question for this week is, where do you want to be more intentional in bringing part of yourself from one venue in your life into another? This intentional, conscious entanglement. Where do you want to try that? All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of With Purpose. Hey, I'm having fun here, and I hope you are as well. If you like this episode, share it with one of your friends, coworkers, maybe somebody at your home. We'd love to grow our community here on With Purpose. I think the more of us, the better, the more people we can learn from together. Okay, hope you have a fantastic week. We'll see you here next time.